Hey, how's everybody doing today? Today I'd like to talk about Angie by the Rolling Stones. This is a pretty easy song that uses pretty easy chord shapes, a little bit different than what we would know as conventional chord shapes as some beginner players know them. But all in all, it's not too difficult of a song. Now, one of the things that I will caution against here is if you're looking at a tab for this online or if you're looking at the actual published sheet music, is to not get too hung up into the individual notes of the tab or the exact arpeggiation of what you're finding in the tab or in the sheet music. We will get to that point, but what I've found in teaching this song over the years is that it's easier, or it actually is a slightly quicker approach to get into a more general sense of playing the chord shapes and getting comfortable with the transition from one chord shape to another. And once you're pretty comfortable with the chord progression and those transitions, it actually is a little bit easier to go back and then fill in with the details and the nuancy things that they do when they're arpeggiating these chords. Now, this is for one of my students that we've been working on this song for a little bit of time now. He's actually got a pretty good handle on it, so I'm not going to maybe dive off into extreme detail on this, but if you have any questions, just let me know, and we can certainly tackle any pieces of this that you need to. Now, this song starts out with an open A minor chord. It goes to this cool E7 chord. Then it does a G sus4, an F sus4, and then it takes a slight descending bass line on the way to a C chord, and then it plays a G over B chord, or a G chord with a B bass note. And this is a slash chord, and if you haven't dealt with slash chords before, stick around because we're going to talk a little bit about this and what this chord actually is. Alright, so now we need to get into the specifics of the chords that are happening within this intro. And I'm going to play the intro again for you more like it is in the song, or at least how I play it and have played it for many years. Yeah, I break that G sus4 chord, but we'll get back to that. We'll play it again in a little bit. Alright, so what we have first is we have an open A minor chord. The second chord shape that we have in the song is just an E7 chord, or an E dominant 7 chord, but it's played slightly differently. And any of you that have played an open D7 chord, well, this shape is going to be very similar. What we're doing is we're taking that open D7 shape and simply moving our hand up one whole step. So now you're going to be on the 3rd and 4th frets, the 3rd fret on the B string, the 4th fret on the G string, and we're leaving the high E string open in this case, and that gives us what we could call a partial or an abbreviated or a modified E7 chord. It sounds awesome when you do that, and he actually plays this low E string in there to help support those notes. That's the E7 chord. The next chord in the sequence is a G sus4 chord. Now this chord starts out as really a G major chord, and in this position, the way that we play this is this would actually be an F-shaped G major chord. So I'm taking my open F chord, moving it up a whole step, and that gives me, because I moved the F chord up a whole step, that gives me a G major chord. But we need to make this a sus4 chord, and in order to do that, I'm going to replace this note being played by my middle finger to the note just above it on the same string, on the G string, with my pinky. So what I have is I took that F-shaped G major chord, and instead of my middle finger playing the note in the 4th fret on the G string, I'm going to use my pinky to play the note on the 5th fret on the G string, and that gives me a G sus4 chord. Now this shape stays the same for both the G sus4, and then we move down a whole step to F sus4. So you got those two chords in order. And then I do something that you're not going to probably find in the tablature, and I do it because I just think it sounds pretty cool. We're going from this F sus4 chord and we're moving to a C major chord. And what I want to do is I'm actually going to play a descending note run on the way to that C chord. And I'm going to play F, E, open D, and then I'm going to land on my C chord. slash chord, which is a G chord with a B bass note. And real simplistically, there's an easy way to look at this. You can look at it as that slash chord if you like to. Some people find that slightly confusing. And real quick, all a slash chord is a slash chord is a chord, the letter of the chord, G in this case, with a slash, and then a B to the right of the slash. And what that is telling us is that we're playing a G chord with a B as the bass note instead of the traditional G as a bass note. And so now in this case, what this ends up looking like in this song is I have my middle finger, 2nd fret A string playing the B. I have my pinky, 3rd fret B string playing a D. And then all the other strings from the A string to the high E string end up being open strings. Now in this song, I'm only arpeggiating a couple notes of that chord. I'm not strumming it in full like a chord, so I'm only picking a couple notes out. And the only notes I'm picking in this case are this B and this D that I also have fretted. And that is basically the intro sequence. It comes after that chord, it ends up back starting over on A minor. I'm going to play that whole sequence slowly. Starts over again. And that's pretty much how the intro goes. Now that same chord progression goes on through the verse while he's singing it. And he does a few other things within that song that are, he does some kind of unique things. Like he plays an A minor chord where he actually stretches out and plays these two notes, this E and this A on the 5th fret on both the B and the high E string. Now, if you want to try to fill those in and hear where those happen within the verse, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm typically playing this as an acoustic duo with a female singer, and so I just continue to play the verse section just like I play the intro, with maybe a few other slight embellishments in there as I kind of see fit as I'm playing it. I don't play it the same way every time, and I don't think Keith Richards or Ronnie Wood or whoever was in the Stones, whether it was Brian Jones or those guys, do play at the same time. I think because it's a cool, pretty musical piece, that they just play it how they feel like playing it in the given moment. And that's one of the beauties of a song and a chord progression like this, is it doesn't have to be played the same every time, and it still sounds really, really good. So I encourage you to play around with it and kind of make it the way you want it to sound, and I think you'll be incredibly happy with that. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll take on the chorus. Alright, so here's what the chorus section looks like. The chorus section is actually super simple. It just uses basic open chords. It uses a G chord for one full measure. It does 2 beats of a D minor, 2 beats of an A minor, 2 beats of a C, 2 beats of an F, and then it finishes with another whole measure of a G major chord. So when I put those together, simply just returns back to that versed figure. And that's the entirety of the song. It's got those 2 sections. I don't remember the exact order of the song right now, but I think once you get those 2 sections laid out, I think you'll be able to easily piece that together. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know if any suggestions for songs or parts of songs that you need work on or help with. And I look forward to seeing you guys again real soon. Thanks for checking it out.